Good day to you. It's Dr. Tony. I am so excited to be here with our final client spotlight with Dr. Marissa Maclin. We have had a coaching week that has been fantastic. Lots of breakthroughs, lots of discussion about all the things that hold us back from building the life we really want, especially surrounded by the people that we want to be surrounded with. Your career, your love, your lifestyle, they're all intertwined. So if you're watching this on replay, give us a hashtag replay on the comments. We want to make sure that if there's questions later, we can double back and answer them. We want to make sure that just because you're busy or working, that you don't feel like we're not giving you a shot to get some of your burning questions answered. Coaching week has been all about how do we go from where we are to where we want to be and the barriers to that. So I had Dr. Marissa Maclin come. She was with me back in the fall of 2020 through the fall of last year, and she has really made huge strides and wants to share that with you. Dr. Maclin will tell you about her actual background, which includes she is a board certified anesthesiologist. She is a fellowship trained pain management specialist, a chronic pain doctor. And she has a surprise. She's also gotten some additional training as a level 3 Reiki master. So she has decided, I'm going to offer all the different ways that you can get well. She's empowering patients. Her mission is to make sure that no matter your functional status, you're able to live the life you want, have the joy you want, and have all the options available to you. Doesn't that sound amazing? Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me here.
Absolutely. Tell me, how good is it to finally be able to offer the things that people actually have been needing from you? You went to school to be a doctor. How long did you think you wanted to be a doctor?
So I have known for a really long time. My mother tells me the story that when I was 18 months old and I was getting my vaccination shots, the doctor was trying to keep me from looking at the needle. And he asked me what I wanted to be when I grew up. And I said, I was going to be a doctor. So I knew for a very long time. So this has been a long journey for me, but a really great one.
I am so excited when people actually meet their dreams, even though you're little and some people don't take you seriously. And so it's funny when you finally get where you're going, how they react when they see you, because you look so young and they're like, oh, you're the doctor. So kudos to you. Anybody who's watching, just know that the principles we discuss here, they really apply to anybody who's striving for a higher level in life, whether you're trying to go back to school, no matter what your profession or industry. Let us know some of the barriers that you have encountered. We all have. So I've had guests on each day, and we have had it. It's funny how y'all picked your days and it matched the challenge week. So today's challenge is all about success. The last day of the challenge is all about the barriers to our success. What would you say, as this highly trained, highly skilled doctor who went to school for umpteen years, what would you say are some of the barriers to success when it comes to our own thinking?
Yeah, so that's a big one. For me and my own thinking was that even with all this education and all this knowledge, I still felt like an imposter in some ways when I was, in rounds or even in college. This was the first time that I really felt this way. And I was a psychology major. And when I learned imposter syndrome, I was like, oh my God, that's what I have. So it's really this thinking that you're not enough, you're not worthy. And if you have those dreams that you dream and they seem just kind of far out and impossible because they don't fit in the box that society kind of tells you that you need to fit in, you doubt yourself as to whether you should even have that or even go for it. And so for me, that's been a really big challenge, is just telling myself I can have that dream that I've been dreaming.
Wow. Listen to what she's saying. Even with all of that study and training and understanding of the science behind it,
Mhm.
it still comes at us so hard. Let's talk more about the things that lead us to these feelings. You know, there's things that put people at risk for imposter. And I like to say that my high achievers, all of you, come to me. It shows up, I'll give you one word and you take it from there. It shows up in perfectionism, first of all. Y'all are so, hold on, I have to do it 3 times and then I'll get it back to you. But how long does that take?
Yeah. Yeah. The perfectionism is big. And for me, there's even a step before that. I want to get it so right that I might not even start. So it's perfectionism and procrastination and over.
Overthinking.
Yeah.
Overthinking. And I'm writing this down like I don't know because honestly, I want to hear all the happy words because tonight when we start talking about the barriers to success, anybody have that feeling of procrastination? Anybody else who's struggling with putting things off so bad that it ruins your entire weekend? Like you might watch your, oh, the other symptom I see is people binge watch a show until it's practically over.
Absolutely.
Anything to not get started with the project.
Absolutely.
Worrying. Now, what's the fear behind that? What do you think are some of the fears that people have that hide behind all of these fancy words? What are the fears?
Um, I think a fear is that, well, I'll say personally, is that if somebody sees something that may be off with what I did, that they're going to judge me and say that, oh, okay, this is imposter syndrome. She really doesn't know what she's doing, or she's not that good because there's a mistake here.
Mm. So I heard fear of making a mistake,
Mm-hmm.
fear of judgment. These
Yeah.
are common fears that I see. If you're watching on replay, go ahead and give us an amen if you put those words down because we need to talk about them. If we can't face that elephant in the living room, day one was all about assessing where
Mm-hmm.
you are. If you can't put your finger on it or you can't articulate it, it's really hard for you to get any help with the things that are kind of holding you back.
Mm-hmm.
You're very successful. So you had all this education, you've gone to the best schools, you've performed against all of your colleagues at the highest level,
Mm-hmm.
but yet you're still thinking, I don't know if I'm good enough. So tell us about some of the things you struggled with once you got out on the other side of all this training.
Um, I would say those feelings would sometimes come up. Um, and a lot of times it was remedied by just practicing and, seeing how great you you actually are and seeing your outcome. It
Sure.
comes with patience.
Yeah.
And then what was your question again? Because I kind of
No,
did.
no, it's fine.
Mhm.
Experience helps. So years of experience and plugging along, sometimes we start to feel like, okay. And we have a comment here. Sometimes it can be a challenge to feel worthy.
Yeah, yeah.
That, that's one of my buddies from way back in the day in Maryland, PhD, works, works, as a team leader. She's in charge. She's one of the only Black women in STEM. It's no joke to be the only one. And then you're like, I don't know if I'm, worthy of these goals, and perfectionism impede the progress.
Yeah.
Yet I've known her for 20 plus years and she's always been the brightest person, sweetest person you ever met, brightest person in the room. But that doesn't mean we don't second guess, especially in new
Right,
spaces.
right.
Especially in new spaces. We're so intent on getting it right. But how much time does it eat up of your free time? Do you even enjoy much of your free time with this?
So that's what leads to a lot of burnout for me is that even on the weekends when I should be taking some time to rest, my mind is going because I'm thinking of the next week. I'm looking up my patients. I'm making sure that I have all my I's dotted and my T's crossed
Yep.
because I want to make sure that I'm performing at the the highest of my abilities. And so basically the rumination process that goes on, that's really draining.
Hello. And it's not an introvert extrovert thing. It's a you're in your own
Mhm.
world, in your own head, eating yourself alive with all of these ideas and problems.
Yeah.
Um, let's talk about something that's come up in almost every single interview I've done this week. What's the danger of seeking outside reinforcement for, oh, you're smart, you're
Mhm.
awesome. What's some of the danger there?
For me, the danger is that it doesn't stick. You have to have it inside. People can tell you all day long, "You're great. You did such a good job with this.
Mhm.
Your patients love you." Whatever it is that they're saying, if you
Yeah.
don't believe that inside of you, it's not going to stick. It's going to leak out.
Let's talk about what happens on the flip side because I see a lot of this with clientele because they're geniuses, they've been groomed into this behavior of seeking outside input.
Mhm.
We come with our straight A's and we get, gold stars. And now, out here in the career world, we're constantly looking for titles. But did they pay you? Did they pay you like your male colleague? Not necessarily.
Mhm. Mhm.
And the other danger is that, yes, they'll tell you you're great, but then the minute you get a negative complaint or a negative feedback, what does that do?
It like colors everything. As soon as something negative comes through, that they forget everything else that came before that was positive.
It just
And
wipes it's
yeah,
like wiping the whiteboard off.
exactly.
All your
Exactly.
gold stars are gone. You're starting over. Wah, wah. It's like playing a video game.
Yeah.
So it's really dangerous to put yourself in a situation where you haven't figured out what you need for you, build yourself up, build your confidence up. And talk to me about about your communication before we did any coaching. You felt like it was something you wanted to work on. What were you noticing?
Well, for instance, I would say with my communication, if I had to have a difficult conversation, I would feel I would feel intimidated. I would feel scared. I wouldn't want to have it. And so, with me not wanting to invite confrontation, I probably wouldn't be as straightforward and forceful as I needed to be to make sure that whatever situation needed to be rectified was being rectified. So that's one piece of the communication. The other thing too is sometimes when you're communicating with attendings who perhaps have big personalities, um, who have a lot of ego, um, and sometimes you feel intimidated to speak with someone like that, even though you have the knowledge base, you can carry the conversation, you can offer a clear consult that they can understand and use, and that will help them. So sometimes you can feel a little bit intimidated. So yeah.
Absolutely. The thing is, it kind of sets the tone for relationships when we're nervous, anxious, comparing. It's like comparison can invade all those thoughts of imposter, create a comparison where you're comparing to this other person. They're just a different personality. They're not smarter than you. Just loud and maybe more boisterous or something. But you're like, no, I know the answer
Right.
just because I didn't speak up in the meeting. So that's another thing about like stepping from training into a leadership, that transition. I have to coach a lot of people across. My specialty is career transitions.
Hmm. Hmm.
In those transitions and relationships, those are my specialties. And I'll tell you, that crossover takes a lot of, I'll let you say, when we work together, what did you notice? It had to be what? It wasn't an easy crossover.
So, in terms of, so you talked about the career transition and the relationships. So, I would say it first started with the relationships. And it's not just how you're communicating and how you feel in your workspace,
Yeah.
but it's also for those who are around you. If maybe there's some behavior that's going on that's not conducive to your growth, then You need to deal with it. Or in some extreme cases, you need to not be in a relationship with that person anymore. So those are things that are difficult to do, especially if you're like me and you don't like confrontation and you want to keep things,
Sure.
you don't necessarily want the person to know that you're not exactly thrilled with how things are going in the relationship. But then in terms of career transition, that's an internal thing. And so for me, it was sparked off by the coaching that I did with you, but then I had to do a lot of my own work, a lot of reading, a lot of listening to YouTube videos, from respected spiritual and mindset leaders that help you to just kind of empower yourself and say, yes, I do deserve this. And I'm going to actually take these steps and I'm not going to be scared, because what's going to happen? What really could happen? Okay, you try it and it goes well, or you try it and it doesn't go so well, but you keep trying. You don't just
you grow.
Yeah.
I mean, it's more of a comfort zone problem. What
Yeah.
I'm saying is that just because you learn something, implementing it takes practice. That's the main thing.
Right.
You know, when you have a coach, one of the things that happens is accountability. People don't like it all the time. They would rather be where? In the comfort zone. They would love, sometimes it's so bad they want to withdraw back to those old bad spaces and toxic relationships and toxic jobs. And I'm like, if that's what you want to do, let me know when things get uncomfortable, because comfort zones really aren't that great.
And it's comfortable because you know it,
Familiar.
fact, but it's uncomfortable because you know what's beyond that comfort zone and you see it and you want it, but the fear can hold you back.
Yeah. Yeah. When you it's a continuum. You might have to do a lot of different types of work. It's just like with medicine. All my healthcare folks, you can see 10 specialists because really it's that complicated. It's not like you're going to go see one person and they just fix everything and it's over. You might have to see, you can have a complicated pregnancy, for example. They send you to cardio and everybody else, right? So it might be a team approach to get. I sent a lot of people to psychology. I sent a lot of people to psychiatry just to even get some of those old thinking patterns addressed. And sometimes there's some old stuff hanging out in the background. Asking for help is a superpower that I want everybody to just raise their hand and say, it's a good idea to ask for help. It's like an affirmation. I commit to ask for help when I'm doing something. Get a professional, get someone who does this for a living, right? What would you say to somebody who's hesitating to ask for help? Because that's usually a huge barrier to perfectionism. And I'm so smart, I should be able to figure this out.
Right. So for someone who's hesitating to ask for help, think about what will happen if you don't ask for help. It can take a lot longer to get to where you're trying to be, and you might not get there. And everybody needs everyone needs outside help, because other people know things that you don't know. They know people that you may need to be in contact with.
Right.
And the more that you isolate yourself, the worse things get. You get in your head more. You kind of stew and feel like you're the only person in the world, when that's not really the case, and it just kind of drives you deeper into this hole. And that's when your emotions can start to mess with you. And so don't worry about the judgment that you think that you are going to take on.
Right.
You have to know who to ask too.
Wait. Let's talk about the assessment phase. You and I, just to give them a heads up, I like to give people a visual, because some of my clients are super visual, right? This is my guide to teach you how to assess and make decisions that are right for you. But getting past the first couple of difficult conversations is sometimes the hard part, getting started. But no, we don't want you asking everyone. Don't take a survey every time you're going to make a decision, but they're the people who don't know the new version of you.
Right.
So sometimes you have to kind of take a step back and get a new community that's really just supportive of you while
Yes.
you're making decisions. Let's talk about toxic environments because a lot of times, what's some of the red flags of who not to ask?
Yeah. I guess one of those red flags would be, I mean, there's a lot.
Maybe
um,
even the feeling you get when you know you're like,
yeah.
uh-oh.
So that one's, it's a little bit tricky, but the people that you are worried are going to judge your questions and what you need help with. And okay, what is it that you're doing? And oh, well, what do you know about that? Why do you want to do that? You know, the people who, perhaps are going to be critical of you and not necessarily be open to what it is that you need and you feel and the direction that you feel that you want to go into. So you have to have those ask those people who will be supportive.
One of the things that happens in coaching is, we have a lot of assessments when you come in so that we can start to get a feel for what do you want to build? What do you want to be different? How do you want that to feel? What kind of support do you need? Let's build a team around you because you're going to need probably some new team members, whether it's a business you're trying to build, you want to go from single to married or from married to having a child, being a mother. There's a lot of transition and you're going to need some people and some new support around this new life you're building. So, what would you say to somebody who is trying to figure that out? You've had multiple coaches. What would you say to them about, like, okay, I want to work with somebody? I think the key sometimes is getting a good assessment of what is it you want to do or what's their specialty?
Yeah, and honestly, like this might be a little bit off your question, but what I really loved about the coaching that I did with you is that we had a built-in new community. So I did Founders Club, and I was working with 3 other women who basically had the same, they were trying to do the same thing that I was trying to do. And we had you there as our guide, but we would break off into pairs or sometimes all 3 of us, and we would help each other. And so now you have, once you leave the coaching, you have the benefit of that community that goes with you. And then also,
Yeah.
when you're working with them, you get to assess what the characteristics of the people that you need to have in your life are. So if you need to get other people around you, you know which of your friends fit that and which of them don't. And if you don't have anyone, then you just need to go friend shopping.
Well, by evolving, it's so much
Mhm.
easier for you to now become what you want to be and then attract. I know you're a fan of manifestation, attract more of what you want because you
Right.
actually are what you want to bring
And
to your world. I mean,
right. And that's exactly how it happened. Really the community that I needed just formed around me because of me, being at a higher frequency rate.
yeah.
I just didn't really tolerate a certain type of energy.
Right. Exactly. Things and your focus changed, your commitment level
Yeah.
changed. What was the main benefit of, when you think about things that were before and after? Before, I think we probably can feel the pain that you were describing. But let's talk a little bit about career. Like
Mhm.
what part of your career, you've got all this training, you're finally out in the world
Mhm.
and you're starting to evaluate, is this what I want?
Yeah.
When it's time to redefine your career, what made you say, okay, I need help with this? Like what was in your head? What were you thinking?
So I needed help because with what I wanted to do, well, first of all, I didn't know what I wanted. I knew that something had to change. And that was a journey in itself
Yeah.
for me to come to what exactly it was that I needed. But I needed to figure out, because really I'm used to looking for a job, finding the job, you get the job, you work the job. And that's the construct that most of us live within. So I didn't know, like I had no idea of how to even begin on this journey. And so essentially, I knew that I needed some help. I knew that I needed guidance for this career transition that I had been thinking of for a few years. But what happened was I ended up finding you. And when I saw this similar interview with a colleague of mine that I went to Wellesley with, I was like, okay, I need that. That's what I need.
Only women unite.
I don't know how she's going to help me, but that's it.
Yeah, a lot of times there's an uncomfortable piece to this, right? There's look right there with you. So you're getting the amen corner, honey. You're getting the amen corner. It's the discomfort, underneath all of this. You said for years you were overthinking, procrastinating, in fear and perfectionism. What was the straw that broke the camel's back? What made you finally move? Yes, you saw somebody you could move towards, but what was going on at work or in your career that just was like, okay, I want something completely different than this?
So I love practicing chronic pain management.
Yeah.
I love the results that I see with patients. I really love procedures, minimally invasive procedures, and the epidural, spinal cord stimulators. I love all that stuff. But I just felt like something was missing in it. There was something that I wasn't completely in alignment with. And as I kind of journeyed for myself to kind of learn who I was a little bit better, I realized that I needed to personally provide a more holistic approach to chronic pain management for patients. And so that's exactly what I did. I personally gravitate toward energy healing or Reiki because I've come to learn that I'm I'm an empath, which we would say I'm a very sensitive person. And so energy is something that affects me a lot. I end up picking up emotions from people, and I really have to take care of myself. So in terms of my own self-care, I started to realize that this was something that worked well for me. And what I ended up doing was I ended up getting trained and offering it. And so for me to have that, a bit more alignment with purpose with what I'm offering to people, which brings in the mind, but it also brings in the spirit, really, really helps me. So what I've ended up doing is creating an online business where I do Reiki with people. I can see people in person and do hands-on Reiki, but I also see them and do distance Reiki, but there is also a coaching aspect to it so that I can really help the whole person with whatever kind of issue or question or journey that they're on.
Let's talk about underneath what she's saying is that she's got how many years of post medical school? That's 4 years of medical school. Mm-hmm. How many years of both your post residency train, post graduate training? How many years was that?
So post residency.
No. I meant post medical school.
Oh, post medical school. So that this has been 12 years. Yeah.
Right. She's got all these years of experience and she's finally figured out how to get out of the box of medicine. A lot of places have very, it's kind of like everybody's doing the same thing. And she's realizing that, what, if this can help me, I want to help some other folks. And I have all that other knowledge and that's great. But there's other things I want to do to help them have a holistic healing experience and also have success with their project. How are you going to come in and get pain free, right? Saying yes to holistic. Now she's a traditionally trained physician, but that doesn't mean she can't offer people more than one way to get
Right.
them from point A to point B. Because a lot of people, we don't want to just manage your pain. We want you to be healed and hopefully have better function and more of a quality of life. So that's what I'm hearing her say. So, when you finally, what would you say to somebody who is like, I don't know about that. I don't know about going into spaces, the unknown. The thing about it is so many unknowns. Each of you had to make a decision one-on-one to come into an unknown space and you don't know who's there. I know that you probably think you answered it, but the truth of the matter is there's somebody who knows, they understood you, they heard you. What would you say would help them to, like, what questions should they be asking before they enter into that space? Maybe that's a good question because I don't think about it a lot since I'm the coach.
Yeah. So you mean entering into just
This
walking?
coaching world, like they're coming into
Oh,
this
the
wonderful
coaching.
circle of women and you see the benefits. So you're like, you should do it. But when you were new, you didn't have any reassurances or anything to help you. What helped you make that choice to go?
Um, Really, it was for me when I got to be able to see what you were about and just the knowing that I would get the results, which was transition. That was really it. I mean, I mean,
Listen, y'all, listen here. The reason why in the public world we have all these coaching week videos with clients is so you can listen to them. They're all different. They all came at different phases of their development or their projects, whether it was business growth or business transition. And a lot of them still practice medicine, which is not always the case. A lot of people are like, I'm out of here. So
yeah.
creating this new mission and this new purpose and this new niche is it's very hard to figure out what you want to do. That's what we help you do. We help you define what the future should feel like, look
Right.
like. And that's not easy to do. They spend a lot of time figuring out mission and vision with me. And
Right.
it's a process. You might start off and so she still practices chronic pain medicine, but she's more flexible now. Talk about the benefits of your new life.
So,
I love it.
what for me, I'm like a free flowing, flexible person. I like knowing that I can switch back and forth. So I like knowing that there's some time periods where I will be getting up, going to an office, seeing patients in the clinic, doing procedures. I love that. But then there's other time periods where I'm going to be home, on Zoom, talking about energy, sending energy healing, and bringing in other aspects of healing. And really, the other thing that for me was a dream is I like moving around. So being an independent contractor where I can do locums tenens, and then also having a mobile personal business, I can live where I want to live. So that's what I'm doing. Like I'm moving to New Orleans.
Wait.
Like,
Y'all don't understand. She lives in upstate New York. It's snowing and it's up to your waist. She's about to go to New Orleans and get the nice weather. You know what I mean? Snowbird. You thought retirement was good. You thought you had to wait till retirement. So think about it. All your colleagues are waiting till retirement to get that benefit. And you're like, no, I'm out of here.
Honestly, that is something that really,
Amen.
oh my God, like when I started practicing and you realize how much energy it is. And I was like, I have to wait until I'm old until I can like have some fun. No. Like,
and you've been in school all your life. She did 2 fellowships, y'all. You don't even understand. Hats off. She's one of our smartest and brightest. But my goodness gracious, when you come out of there, you need vitamin D and some sunshine and some fun.
Right.
Now you got it. So before she came, she had already done some coaching. She had made some progress. Now she's feeling stuck in this rigid medicine. And now the benefit is, let's rattle it off with a flexibility. What else?
Flexibility, having more control over your
Control.
um, wait, your money.
Choices. You get to decide when you want to work. You get to decide your rate,
Absolutely.
where.
Where, I mean, all of it.
You get to decide who you work with too. And
Right.
I have quite a few people here who I know can relate to that. How
Mhm.
many of you? I want to see some comments. How much of that resonates with you? Would you like more flexibility? Would you like more warm weather? I see some people who live in some cold places here, right? Would you like more warm weather? Would you like to avoid traffic sometimes and skip the commute at certain times of the year? Would you like it to be I work with who I want to work with?
Mhm. Mhm.
Then that's one of the things that she's been able to do for herself. So I'm just really, really proud of you. I'm excited for you. I had also made a note here about, I coach on martyr mindset quite a bit. So many of my clients are givers. Y'all are some giving, loving people. You can't wait. A lot of them are empaths, like she said. They want to help everybody. What happens when you're giving until you're burned out? What does that look like? How do we get here?
So, I mean, how it happens is that a lot of women like myself is we have what Oprah calls this disease to please, and we want to help everybody that we can help. There's a mothering aspect to it, which is has biology behind it, but we don't really have much of a problem sacrificing ourselves so that other people can thrive. And so that's something that I really needed to get control of, because I wasn't happy, and I wasn't walking towards the path or on the path that I needed to be on. And it was it was really, really draining and sad, because I was making sure that other people were good, but I wasn't.
When you're operating from this martyr mindset and thinking, oh, I should, it's the coulda, shoulda, woulda disease as well. I should do it. You feel like there's outside expectations, you're pushing you forward. What does that do to your time?
So it really it zaps your time. Um, but what I wanted to add to that is that I'm not saying that you leave people on the side of the road. You just have to figure out how you can help people in a way that is not taking away from you. So scheduling is a big one for me. Um, saying, okay, I have this time period window that we can get this done. Not
Mhm.
allowing people to just pop up on me or just say, hey, you're great at this. Can you do this right now? No.
That's a
And
big difference. Wait, make sure they hear you. You have boundaries now. It's no big deal now, right? But that was a process where, before you're feeling obligated.
right.
Am I right? Most of the time you feel obligated, and these are things you used to do.
Mhm.
But when you finally came and said, help me get from here to this vision of flexibility and a future where I own my own businesses and I have my own options, technically you own two different businesses. One is seeing patients and one is doing Reiki work.
Mhm.
Um, that doesn't happen without a lot of effort and energy. So just say, I guess I would say, speak about the process, not the what, but more, not like what we had to do, but that it takes time and it's a
It
process.
takes time. And what you taught us that really helps is the mission, vision, and values. So if something, your friend comes to you and they want you to, I don't know, I'm not coming up with an example right now, but they want you to do something and you want to help them out, but is it on, is it on with your mission, vision, and value? Like, is this thing that you're going to put a lot of time into? Is it something that you even want to be associated with and aligned with? So sometimes you have to use those concepts to figure out when you're going to say yes to something or no.
Reality is a lot of it is decision making and taking emotion out. A lot of things are removing all of the feelings and saying, let me take a look at my life and what I want it to look and feel like. Most people are not real clear or it's very hazy. So I help you get more clarity on what it is we're building,
Right.
what that's going to take, just like you did medical school or anything else. It was so laid out for you that you're just going along with the syllabus. And then one day you wake up and you're like, now what am I supposed to do to get everything else done I want to do? Nobody really asks you, and now you're just working,
Right.
working and checking boxes off. So I'm really, really proud of you. How has this improved all of your relationships that you've now decided, or like, these are my people? How does all this shifting and transformation help your relationships now?
I mean, it helps a lot because it's not just associated with work. We talk about
Mm-mm,
romantic relationship, like everything.
everything.
So you get it, you're getting the full gamut of coaching. And so you get to kind of further define, if you want to get married or whatever it is, and you're looking for a mate, we used the coaching concepts. And I remembered like that. What did you, I can't remember what you called
One
it.
of my decision trees.
Yeah. And then, the person who was like on mission and just kind of like taking away from you. And when I saw that, I was like, my mind was blown. I was like, oh, I've been dating down here.
Oh, she's talking about my 4-step system.
Yes.
I have a 4-step system to
Mhm.
evaluate relationships, and we have to put people into their proper buckets. And
Exactly.
it's very surprising how people you've been spending a lot of time and energy on are actually not qualified to be getting that much from you. So, you know, when you take the emotion out, and I just give you some checklists, most of my clients love checklists, that it really helps to get where you want to go. I want to talk a little about now, just that transition of setting up a business. In the beginning, one word comes to mind, and I would say overwhelming.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wasn't it overwhelming? But I feel like through coaching and working together for a period of time, this is why I want to create a community for y'all that's going to help support you through the transitions.
Right.
It was a process, right?
It's a process because when you think of everything that needs to be done, you get overwhelmed. I'm the type of person, like, if it's too much, I'm just not going to do it. Like I won't even start. But with you walked us through piece by piece, and then it was manageable. When you can take the bite-sized pieces, and chew and digest, then you can move on to the next. And so once you just continue to walk that line, then all of a sudden, boom, you have the business. So
And it's interesting because y'all want it to be now because you're feeling so much discomfort. And I'm saying, calm down, let's focus so that you can get something built that you feel good about. I don't want you to have a business that's a burden or an albatross or heavy. It doesn't feel that way when you're with people you want to be with, because we've used all of our tools. Now you know who you want to work with. Now you know what you want it to feel like. Now you know how you want your schedule to look. And we built all these things out for you. And it's like, oh, this is what I wanted.
yeah, yeah, definitely.
The first day, I have worked more closely with some of you. Everybody loved their career projection. It helps put it in black and white, so it's not just in the back of your head. How's it feel to have that clarity? Ugh.
It feels really good. I feel more like me because I don't know, like what I'm doing right now is in alignment with who I am. And it just kind of makes me feel like I can breathe. Like sometimes when you go through this long, training that we go through, I remembered feeling like Marissa before medical school was different. You know, there was something that I felt like I lost. Um, but now that I've kind of built my own life for myself,
Yeah.
I feel like me again. You know, I think it was just not feeling obligated to be in the box anymore. That's really
Yes. Everybody speaks about getting out of the box and trying to be true to themselves. And, one of the other underlying things here is your intuition is correct. So many times we talk ourselves out of it, but everybody who came on this week was saying, I didn't trust myself before. And after coaching, I feel like I can go with what feels good for me.
right. Right. So it definitely will help you build that confidence and, you know, that self-love. It builds you up and it tells you that you can have it and you can do it.
Oh my gosh, two different things. I'm worthy of it,
Mhm.
and no matter how many steps it is, I can take them one by one and get where I want to go. This is encouraging I'm hearing it and I'm just so excited to see her peaceful, calm. She has her own environment, her own life that has been by design, and this is just different. Let's see
Yeah.
what this says here. Now that you've gotten out of the box, what would you, ooh, that's a good one. Oh, been on it all week.
Yeah.
What advice would you give your younger self?
So what I would tell my younger self is don't be so bound up and upset with where you are right now because it's necessary. And take the lessons in what you're doing right now. So that's the thing. Like we get into these spaces and we see so much of what we lack and what we want over here. But we're not just, you know, we're not accepting where we are and being just going ahead and letting yourself be happy and knowing that and just being grateful with where you are, what you have. And essentially if what I would tell my younger self is do the work and look forward. You know, like
Do
don't
the
don't
work.
don't beat yourself up because
Yeah.
you want this, you want that, you don't have it. Just accept where you are. Not acceptance as in, you know, okay, I accept where I am and I don't do anything about it. You accept it and then you work on what you need to work on. And there's no need in fretting because you'll get there.
Amen. You mentioned it earlier, so I'll say it another way from what you had mentioned before. You said, well, what did you say? Oh gosh, it was just right on the tip of my tongue. But essentially, getting started
Mhm.
was the relief. Instead of spending the energy, spinning your wheels and having negative self-talk and procrastinating, getting started is the relief. Like, oh, now that I'm moving towards things that look much better for me, there's some sunshine over here, there's some hope over here. I thought staying here was my safest bet, but you started moving, you started feeling better.
Yeah, yeah. And also, you know, in that process, celebrating your small wins. Um, that's really important because we accomplish things and we move forward. Because I even remember when I graduated from medical school, I was kind of like, okay, like,
Next.
like you know, I for some reason I thought
Yes.
that I should have been, you know, I was celebrating, but for some reason there was something inside of me that was like already on to the next step. You know what I mean?
That's
Like,
exactly it. You're not in the moment. If we were
yeah,
to say to our old younger selves is be present, be joyful, be in gratitude, have your gratitude written down and bask in the good that you have created for yourself. That medical school doesn't come from the lazy, I promise. I live in warm weather, but I'd like more flexibility. I want to be able to spend more time with my family, not after I'm burnt out from working my tail off. And this is what she can do now with her schedule is have that flexibility.
absolutely.
It's, you don't even have, a lot of the responsibilities you'll have in the future, but what do you think your future is going to feel like now that you have learned these skills so that you can prevent some of the things you see in this pandemic?
I just feel like there's going to be a lot more balance. So my big thing.
Mhm.
Like I talked about, I'm an empath. I get easily burnt out. Um, for me, if I'm not eating well, drinking, water, moving my body, spending time with my family, my
Yeah.
dog, my friends, if I'm not doing all these things that help keep me balanced, but also in a mindful way, I'm not thinking about, oh gosh, I've been here too long. I need to go meal prep so that I can go to work.
Guilt.
Right,
Without the guilt. Enjoying
right.
your life without the guilt and giving space to the things that all these things matter. These things make you ready for the day.
So I feel like there's just going to be more balance built in because I have that control.
Control is a good word. I feel like a lot of times we don't have enough control over our schedules when we work in these rigid environments. And I think all of us have had several jobs where we're like, well, what do you mean? Um, I have to come in at this time and leave it's just too much. And we also work off the clock. So I heard a lot of flexibility in this conversation. I heard a lot of, you know, you don't have to do it. You don't have to stay in places that don't suit and align with you. And so I just want to say that don't expect the people who have gotten away with taking advantage of the nicer, yes, yes, yes version of you.
Mhm.
Don't expect them to necessarily support this
Right,
new transition time.
definitely.
You may have to take a step back. I'll be honest with you. And that's why I want you guys to have new people who are just all about whatever you want. So I'm going to tell you that you should get on the Store Alliance waitlist. I'm building a new community because I see the same problems, and isolation is the number one thing that will get in your way. Thinking I should do it myself, thinking it takes longer and it's very isolating. It's lonely. It's lonely and it's quite depressing, especially in the wintertime, to always be by yourself. But having all those people, tell them when you were in the circle, when you were in the founder circle with three other super sharp women who were on the move, building and growing, what did they feel like as far as just having that energy around you?
It kind of feels like you're with your tribe, and you know you
Mhm.
you can really do anything because somebody, if you have a question, you have an issue, you're trying to figure something out, somebody else is always going to have an answer. Somebody else is always going to say, oh yeah, I had this experience and this is what I did. Or, oh yeah, I can hook you up with so and so, talk to this person. So when you're in that space, you're with other people that are going to propel you forward.
Amen. And you had such a phenomenal group. You each came in for individual consults. We brought it all together. We had the curriculum. Knowing what's next helps you not be so anxious
Mhm, mhm.
because you could work ahead if you wanted to. So it was just really a blessing for me as well to see you guys all thriving and striving for your goals. Looks like what she says, the tools you've learned from coaching, do you see those tools helping mentees? Oh, yeah, we can train them up. It
Yeah,
does though. It
yeah,
does.
definitely, definitely. Because a lot of what I've learned in coaching, I definitely would have loved to have in my younger years. So obviously, like imparting that knowledge on the younger people that are coming up behind us, so that they have an easier time. Maybe going forward, they're going to bypass some of the obstacles that I came across.
Not even, most of the time, we're not even able to help people avoid it, but we sure can help them get
Right.
armored and prepared and trained and not feel that imposter feeling without some sort of buffer.
Mhm,
We
mhm.
didn't have a buffer. We were just thrown in there and we're trying to outperform because we're in this competitive environment where we're not getting any encouragement. And they love to tell you what you did wrong when you're in some hostile spaces. So it's nice to have some training on how to communicate, how to protect yourself in your future career, because a few emails in the wrong direction can really be a problem. And I try to help them learn what to look for and when the red flags are, to ask for help earlier. We were talking about mentorship yesterday with Dr. Huff, and she said the same thing. She's like, oh, now that I've got this coaching, the mentorship that I give, my answers to them are, first of all, do not wait until there's a problem. When you see anything you're concerned about, get to me early, so that we don't have this on your record or some permanent blemish or something.
Yeah, definitely.
Young women need to hear from us. Young women need to hear from the best and brightest that we were you. That's why I'm on this platform right now. My mission is to help younger women now, so that we can give them the truth in their 20s. By the time they get to their 30s, these things are part of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
We want to eliminate some of the time that we're spending on that. So Dr. Marissa, thank you for joining us. You can follow her on her platform. We put her LinkedIn because I want to make sure that any updates, you get an alert. You better make sure you follow with her and connect with her. So anything she's working on, you can keep an eye on her. She is our chronic pain in-house expert, if you will. She knows everything about it. She's a Reiki Master level 3. She is now in a much better space to build the healing, holistic coaching and treatments that are going to liberate a lot of, I expect, women.
Yes, definitely.
And that's why we do what we do here at Sort of Excellence Coaching. Please, if you are thinking you want to get with this 5-day coaching, we really, really dug deep. You have no idea. It's like 10 hours of coaching. But, you know, and Marissa knows, she knows how much that would run you. So if you want to join us in the VIP Winner Circle, I recommend that you do. If you're a VIP Winner Circle member, please say so here, because I know there's a lot of people here who are in VIP Winner Circle. Inside the circle, we actually have recordings. We have replays for the next week. If you really just want to get in on the action, I say go to drtonymdvip.com. Dr. Marissa's a member. We'll talk to you soon. Thank you so much. And I just want you to make sure that you heard that part where she said it's always the right time to start.
Yes.
Because what happens when we don't?
Yeah, it's always now.
I love that. She's like, I'm so grateful. Nicole's saying thank you. This has been amazing. I agree with you. Thank you for taking the time. And, you know, honestly, there's a million things we could all be doing, but I think I want to say thank you to everyone who's taken the time to come and visit with us all during coaching week, because we need each other, all of us. It's Dr. Tony. I'm signing off with Dr. Marissa Maclin. Make sure you're following her. She's going to be doing some great work in the community and apparently traveling the world. Have a wonderful day. It's drtonymd.com, and we will talk to you soon.